Hey everyone, and welcome to another Roofr Masterclass. Really excited to have everyone here. And today we have a guest. It's not Pete, it's Chris from Lead Scout. So, Chris, welcome to the Roofr Masterclass.
It's great to be here. Hey, everybody.
Awesome. Really excited to have you here. I just wanted to give you some time to kind of maybe introduce yourself a little bit and a little bit about what Lead Scout does.
Yeah. So I'm Chris Hofstra, co-founder of Lead Scout. I'll obviously get into what Lead Scout is and how it's a great complement to the Roofr platform. But first, just because we were joking about it behind stage, I guess I'll say,
Yeah.
with Estawa as well. Had a heck of a trip to get here for this 5 o'clock. Maybe some of you have had some also entertaining afternoons to make it to these different podcasts and different events, whether it be a lead that you're running. But we all have families, and for me, I had a sick kid today. I had a kid that needed to be to piano lessons, and then another kid that had her braces got all twisted up because she was eating a ring pop. And all this is happening, and my wife has an event tonight, had an event at 4:30. So I was breaking traffic laws left and right to make it in time to set this up with Nick and Estawa, and happy to be here. But also just happy to be able to do life and business,
Yeah.
be able to run Lead Scout. I've got an incredible team with me, so obviously I would never be able to do it without them. But yeah, so to be a part of this today and to be able to be a dad and a husband, it's what it's all about. So
That's awesome.
hopefully many people listening can relate.
Yeah, I'm sure they can. So many of us are kind of small business owners and growing business owners, and that family aspect and trying to like juggle just work-life balance is always difficult. And that's a perfect story to start off something like
Yeah,
this. Like it's great. Glad that you can make it.
yeah, I'm here. I made it safe.
I know.
So yeah, I'm good. It's good to be here.
Are you going to be driving in like Indy next week, or like what's your play after this?
No, keep it safe.
Keep
I
it
don't want
safe.
to. Got to play the odds. And
Yeah,
the fact that I made it here without a ticket or a crash or hurting anybody, I'll keep
that's
it safe
perfect.
tomorrow. So I am flying out to PA. So anybody in the York, PA area, I'll be out your way visiting a contractor. So try to don't travel a ton. We do a lot of things through Zoom, as you can imagine, but do a bit of travel. So
Fantastic. Well, today we got some fun stuff going on. I'm just going to share my screen a little bit to talk about a little bit what we're doing, because you guys are all here not just to hear about Chris and I talk shop and stuff, but we want to talk about leads. Very
mhm.
important part of your business, growing your business, and kind of owning your pipeline. So today, what we kind of want to go through is little bit of introductions and talk about a little bit about what is scouting, rethinking the lead generation process, sales enablement, marketing automation, how tech ties sales together, and thinking beyond something like Angie's List. So really excited to kind of dive in. But Chris, why don't you start off and talk about what is Lead Scout?
Yeah, what is Lead Scout? So Lead Scout is really a piece of software that does two main things, right? It helps enable your sales team um, be more efficient in the field, have more time to spend with family, the same concepts and principles that Roofr stands by. So helping your team be more efficient in a neighborhood. Think, Sales Rabbit, Spodio, some of these canvassing tools that have come before us, many years before us. We're kind of a new spin on that. We'll talk more about that in a minute. So sales enablement and marketing automation. So for those of you that have ever handwritten a note, handwritten envelopes, stuffed envelopes, put stamps on those, and sent them out. Maybe you had your kids help you, your significant other help you. You know what I'm talking about when I say automation. So being able to provide that level of marketing without having to do all that stuff. So we automate the marketing for your company. So kind of a dual threat platform, if you will. And we're on iOS right now. We've got an Android app coming out really soon. So if there's anybody listening that has has heard of us or maybe used us in the past. We've been around for a couple years, and this is our first go at an Android app, so that's exciting. So yeah, that's kind of high level. What is Lead Scout?
That's awesome. And it's something that's so needed in this industry. It's something that probably the most popular thing we see in all the Facebook groups and all the chats is just like, how do I get more leads? Like, how do I grow my company? How do I scale it? So having someone like you guys out there really kind of assisting this, kind of streamlining it, automating it, and bringing things into the 21st century is so important. I remember personally having to go down when I was working with my dad's company, and then also when we first started Roofr, just door knocking, and I had a pad of paper, and anytime someone answered the door, I would hand my card, do my pitch and stuff. As soon as I would turn around, I would write everything down on a piece of paper. And
Yeah,
this was my de facto lead generation CRM. Like it was my lead scout here, and it was like nothing. If I lost this book or I spilt my coffee on it, all
right.
that work was wasted. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
We
it's
always say what if your kid pukes on it, you know?
yeah, exactly. There's so many
I've been puked
different
on
options.
before.
Once or twice.
Once, yeah, twice.
So yeah, it's really important stuff there. So I'm really excited to have you aboard to kind of like learn from the best is kind of what we're looking at here. So but let's jump into it. I would love to hear the one thing that I hear, and you did a great podcast with Pete on the Roofr Report a couple weeks
Thanks.
back. So really excited there. And you guys talked a lot about scouting. What is
Yeah.
scouting?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I think we take some liberties when we define scouting, right? Some of it is just, to create an identity to what we're doing. But really, guys, it's canvassing, but part of it is the word canvassing, I think, turns a lot of people off. Whether they're just ideologically opposed to knocking someone's door unsolicited, or they're just like, hey, we've just never done that. We've had a pretty tried and true business over the years. The phone rings, we do some digital ads, we do billboards, some radio, and we've got these channels. We've got it pretty figured out. The phone rings. But the reality is scouting is really just this proactive mindset about going on the offensive, right? We work with a lot of different industries. We're heavy in roofing, siding, windows. So y'all are our people in terms of our makeup. 90+% of our users are roofers. But there are other industries that we're servicing, and a lot of those we've seen more proactive type marketing where they're going out to say, you need this, you want this, right? And where roofing has historically just been a little bit more of like, because you need it, right? Which is great as we approach a recession, right? You got to have a roof, right? In the good times and the bad time, you got to have a roof. It's an incredible business that more people should start. But in terms of how we approach new business, the fact that every year we got to start over, right? We want to be on the offensive. I think scouting really can just embody that. I mean, sure, we can say canvassing, but it doesn't have to be this thing where, hey, Chris, I used to knock doors. I sold roofing. Chris, you got to go, this area is a great little honey hole, probably 300 homes in there, start knocking, right? That approach can most oftentimes just kind of like goes flat, right? I might start hot, but then it's like, I don't really know what to do next. I kind of lose steam, or I don't start at all because I'm like, you just asked me to knock 300 doors. I don't really know where to start.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas scouting is more, again, this idea that we have certain events that happen in the business, whether it's running a lead or getting a job. What can we do to create a small bite-sized plan of action to go out and get something, right? And I think that's what scouting's about. So when we talk about door knocking, which is something we talk about a lot. So anybody out here that's like, I don't really door knock, I encourage you to rethink that, because how you knock a door matters. In your last Roofr report with Estawa, where you guys are talking about starting up a small business and things to, learn to do and not do, you guys talked a lot about using some of the tools in Roofr to create connections.
Mm-hmm.
Think of it more like a public service announcement, right? We're going to be making some noise. There's going to be some debris, right? It's how we knock the door. If we're out there just to like shove a roof down their throat, that's the type of canvassing I think most of us are like, not for me. But if you've got a job going on and you've got neighbors around there walking their dogs, taking the trash out, raking the leaves coming into fall now, right? Half of the country, we're raking leaves. What are we doing to just make ourselves available and let them know that, like, hey, your neighbor trusted us. You can trust us. You guys are all selling trust. Here's some cool things that we can do, right? And we've got some cool tools to do it. And that's why I think, and we'll get to this in a little bit. I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, Nick, but in terms of using technology in the field, yes, it streamlines your automation and makes you guys more efficient, but it's also some cool stuff that you guys can show to the homeowners, because all of those contractors that are slow to adapt those things or adopt those things, you've got a leg up now, because you can say, hey, we've got this really cool measurement tool. We got this really cool marketing tool just to let the neighbors know, or we've got, this instant quote tool. These are all things that just set you apart and give you more to talk about.
Exactly.
So that's really a long-winded answer to what is scouting. It's just about connecting, getting out of your truck and connecting with a small group of people around an event. And I think we can all agree a job site's a really good place to start.
Yeah, I like to think of it too, and it was going back to the podcast that you had with Pete, but I like to think of it too as like I'm a sports guy. I love sports, so we know that quoting jobs, door knocking, it's a numbers game. The
Yep.
more numbers you hit, something that you're going to end up having. But at the end of the day, there is a way to kind of like make that a more direct thing, a more like a positive thing. So like it's like taking steroids to baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you have a spot point of reference where you could refer back and provide that transparency and education, and you're not just knocking for the sake of knocking, you're not a traveling
Yep.
salesperson, you're there to actually assist and build out in like a relationship. That makes such a big difference. And like you said, if you're doing the roof down the street, just be like, hey, my guys are over here. The street might be a little bit busy with a bunch of our cars here, so I just want to apologize up front. But I did
Mm-hmm.
notice while I was coming by and introducing myself, if you see any plastic, obviously let me know. But I did notice there were some issues with the roof. Would you like a quote in like a rough quote in like 26 seconds? And you could show a tool that we might show later, like the instant estimator, get
Yep.
them a ballpark and then adding things in. So
Yep.
I think that's a really good point that you were making. And it shows that, and I saw one of the comments go on
Yeah, I'm
talking about
seeing
the
them.
door knocking.
Yep.
Keep on the questions coming. We got a
Yeah,
Stawa
please.
in there managing that as well. So exciting to hear more. But one of the questions was like, why do people push door knocking so much? And that leads to my question to you: is why does door knocking need to be revisited?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll answer that, and I'll answer your question, Nick, out of Knoxville, Tennessee. Or I'm sorry. Nope, that's a different Nick. Two Nicks in a row. Welcome, both Nicks. A lot of Nicks on this show here.
Yeah.
Good to be here. So in terms of direct mail, direct mail, why do we door knock? I mean, Lead Scout, aren't you like the company that sends the targeted direct mail? Yes. But what we found over the last few years, and we've sent, I don't know, maybe close to 1 million pieces of mail. Mail is first and foremost a really good icebreaker, creates that brand impression, that brand familiarity, right? Now it can be on the more costly side, right? I mean, sending a mailer, whether you're doing the cheap mail for 50 cents or you're sending one of our targeted job site specific mailers for $1. It's important that we don't just leave all of the pressure on the mail, right? We don't want the mail just to tell our story, right? We have to tell our story. So when we talk about door knocking, it's really about combining the icebreaker, hey, here's who we are, like kind of a wave, like, hey, here's who we are. We're working over here, right? Here's the services we provide. We have this cool promotion going. Maybe it's a scan this QR code to get an instant quote, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so as we deliver those messages, well, what can we do to reinforce that? Well, it's just knocking the door. Now, for those of you who've done mail campaigns, now you might be thinking, well, if you're sending it to 3,000 homes, how in the world do you go knock all those homes? You don't. That's kind of the uniqueness and innovation of what we're doing at Lead Scout is, how about you send mail to 20 homes around a job site? Now you've created a bite-sized list to go door knock. And it's not the door knocking that we've all come to be used to, but more of a, hey, I'm working over here with Dave and Shirley. I don't know if you got the material I sent you in the mail. You notice I said material I sent you in the mail, right? It's a postcard, but you can use some phrasing and some conversation to just create connections, right? Mm-hmm. And so, I guess to answer your question is it's it's important because that's how you win, right? Because if you don't do that, your competition will, if they get into the neighborhood. And all of us on the call or in this on this webinar, you don't want your competition getting in that neighborhood, right? You got the job. That's your neighborhood, whether it's retail or Storm. I know those are different, and Storm can, obviously bring in a lot more people. But if it's a retail situation, that's your street. So protect that street. And one way to do that is just make yourself known. So, making the introductions, knocking the door, simply following up the mail. If I'm asked to knock a door, I'd much rather walk up the door and say, "Hey, sorry to bother you. I'm Chris. I'm with, Lead Scout Roofing, and I just wanted to see if you received the mail, or here's why I sent it to you."
Hmm. And then the other thing too is that that goes to mention. So that brings in both of those points for Sterling and Nick, is like where mailers can be used and how to rethink door knocking. It's actually combining that, because now you're creating like a very well defined area. One of the other things that comes to mind, if you're sending out mailers to that area, they see your logo. Then they see your trucks come in with your logo. Then you knock on their door with your logo on your shirt. That branding opportunity is really important, because when they think roofing, hopefully they think of you. And I know the majority of us here are from small to medium sized businesses, and that neighborhood is ours. Like once you go in there, we planted the flag. This is our zone. These houses are ours, and we want to get moving on them. So it's a big difference when you're door knocking in this new kind of version of it, with
Mm-hmm.
the mailers, to now go up and they recognize it. They start to have that trigger in the memory and saying like, "Oh yeah, I've seen that logo before. Okay, cool." It's like, "Yeah, I sent you that material out there. I just want to let you know we're down the road." And everything comes together, and now you're not just another traveling salesperson. You are
Yep.
someone there to help them, to assist with them, to just
Yep.
take care of them. And that care and need builds so much trust.
Yep. Absolutely. And there's some other cool stuff that hopefully we get into. There's some great questions that are kind of flowing in. I love all of this stuff.
Mhm.
I'm new to this. So can everybody see everybody's questions as they're out there? I'm assuming,
I
because
think so, yeah.
Adam just asked Ty a great question. Thanks for the shout out, Ty. Lead Scout babies. I love that. That's what we want to create. We want to create Lead Scout babies, not lead babies, Lead Scout babies, because they want that tool to make themselves more successful in a neighborhood. But there was a question above. I don't know if I can scroll through here. There we go. Here we go. Daniel Gollinger. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Mail more costly than boots on the ground? Question mark. I mean, it's not really one or the other. It's both. And in terms of what's more costly, I don't mean to open up another can of worms, but I definitely want to have this conversation with you, Nick. In terms of what's more costly, it just takes time to figure that out, right?
Yeah.
So this is a whole nother thing that we can talk about in terms of like bottlenecks in your lead process, is understanding your cost of acquisition for these different things you're doing, right? Sending
Mhm.
people out the boots on the ground, sending the mail, doing the Facebook ads, buying the Angie leads. There's all these different things, they're all good if we understand their true cost relative to what they're producing for us. So Daniel, I would answer your question with, it's both. Because I want your boots on the ground to be more effective, and I want your mail to resonate more, right? So they're just working together.
And I think a big thing to keep in mind is, and something that we've been preaching, and I know you guys preach a lot too, throughout our entire podcast series and masterclass series, is your time is money. You got a family. Chris told that story about trying to get here on time and stuff. You got things moving. And why not make the most of your time? Why, instead of spending 8 hours knocking 100 doors and maybe getting two pulls from there, instead of that, why not really focus your efforts, find those areas, and really capitalize on those areas where they know your name, they know your brand, and everything else. So you could
Mhm.
really look at it from not just a cost per mailer or cost per door kind of standpoint, but a cost for your time. John DeRosa from SRS Academy, I saw him do a speech a while back. And one thing that he said that stuck with me, and we can kind of like switch it into the lead thing, is stop quoting per square and start quoting per years. So the years that you've been in business, the years that your time and energy has been spent
Mm.
into this. Same thing with lead generation, whether it is door knocking or mailers. Make sure that you're making the most out of that time, so that those what you're pulling is most
Mhm.
valuable to you.
Yep, absolutely. John DeRosa's got some great stuff.
Yeah,
Love that guy.
he's awesome. So,
Yeah.
um,
There's still some good questions coming through, Nick. If you don't mind, I don't want
yeah,
to like
jump
steal
in.
your thunder responding to some of this stuff, but is Lead Scout similar to Sales Rabbit? Yeah, in many ways it is. I think we're just trying to have a different spin on what's the utility Rabbit offers.
Hmm.
I think Sales Rabbit's a really powerful tool and is great for large enterprise companies that are looking to truly do pure door-to-door sales. Um, we look at it more from the standpoint of small bite-size campaigns or door knocking campaigns that are paired with a marketing campaign, because again, like we've talked about, they work together. So in terms of Sterling, you had a great question. Is this comparable to dope marketing? Yeah, it is, except we also have the canvassing piece. So, not to, kind of a better than, but just an innovation that we're trying to bring is a new spin on the use of a canvassing tool. I've been doing this a long time. I've probably talked to 1,000 contractors nationwide, every state, in an effort to build software that helps you guys generate leads. And what I found is a lot of the really powerful tools get underused because there's just too much, right? It's almost too heavy. And it's
Hmm.
just like, I don't even know what to do with this thing, right? So we've kind of stripped out a lot of the things that we think aren't really necessary, right? And aren't the critical components. And we focus only on those critical components from a canvassing perspective. And then from a dope marketing perspective, we've said, it's no different, right? We've got the same type of intelligence in terms of the mail automation, multiple drips, creating the prospect list for you, focusing around job sites, all the things that they talk about. But we give you a canvassing tool that goes along with that, because if you're just sending mail, you're not going to get the results that are going to be like setting the world on fire. We've seen it. I've sent, like I said at the beginning of this, we've probably sent over almost 1 million pieces of mail, and we've tracked the success of that the best we can, of course, because we're dealing with a lot of different contractors.
Hmm.
But the reality is, it can't just be sending a mailer unless you're good with just branding, right? But I think everybody that's here wanting to learn about leads, they want leads. Right? That's cool. I get the branding, but I need leads. So you need to have a sales enablement piece that complements that. So that's kind of where we're different from dope marketing.
Of course. And what do you mean specifically about a canvassing piece?
Just the ability to be in the field, see your little blue dot on the street, and be able to recognize and see the names of the homeowners around you.
Hmm.
And for us, being able to deliver, information about those homeowners, including the fact that they've received 2 mailers so far. Imagine if you guys are on a street, you're doing a job down the road, and you have information on these homeowners right around you, and you can also see that they've received 2 mailers and there's 2 more going out. What kind of confidence is that going to build in you to open the toughest door in sales to open, which is our own truck door,
Yeah.
right? To get that door open and walk up and be like, "Hey, I'm Chris, right? I hate to bother you, but I just wanted to introduce myself. Here's my card. If you see our trucks parked, right, that whole thing.
Hmm.
You probably received a postcard in the mail. If you did, here's why we sent it." So that's what we mean by canvassing component.
It makes such a big difference,
Yeah.
and again, it just you're setting yourself apart from the competition, and that's everything that we like to preach. You're putting your body and soul into this business, so don't be another chuck in a truck. Like you want to be someone that stands out, that people will know, and that you can scale that business accordingly. So when we're rethinking this process, I'm Canadian, so sorry about that. And I said sorry. Geez, that was a lot of Canadian all at once.
At least you didn't say jelly donut and Mountain Dew.
Yeah, exactly. So, rethinking the lead generation process. How many mailers typically do you have to send out to get a lead? Do you have like an idea on that?
Yeah. So how we think about mail is in terms of like just the repetition. And when you create a mail campaign with us, we automatically send out 4 mail pieces, 3 of which are jumbo postcards, right? Just like kind of a little printed billboard in the mailbox. And then the 4th piece is an actual handwritten note that's in a hand addressed envelope. It's a brown envelope. It's hand stamped. It's kind of in a sense like hey, I've been sending you these little postcards about this job we're doing. I haven't heard from you. So I'm going to take out the time, right? Sterling, you're asking questions. We got others, right? Imagine if they just received a little quick note from you, right? Hey, I'm doing a job at this address. I'd love an opportunity to speak with you about any home project you have, whatever, fill in the gap in terms of what you're doing. Warm regards, Sterling, right?
Mhm.
If I mean, a handwritten note has like a 98% open rate. The power of a handwritten note, I don't think I need to sell. And so we just incorporate that into the cadence. In terms of like how many of those, I wish I could say if you sell a job and you send mail to 20 people, one of those people calls you. I mean, if that was the case, that would be unbelievable. That's not how it works. However, that's why we've built a mobile app that combines or complements that mail campaign, because our hope, and this is kind of hitting your question about the labor intensity of door knocking, hopefully it's creating a stepping stone for that salesperson or project manager to say, listen, these 20 homes are receiving mail. We sure hope someone calls us. But the reality is what if you challenge that person that's in charge of that job site to not even knock all 20, maybe knock
Mhm.
5. So in terms of a body and labor intensity, I don't think that's intensive at all. The 6-pack, right? You guys talked about that on your Roofr report or your masterclass last month. What if you just focused on a portion of that already small canvas marketing tool to canvas and to reach out? Maybe it's a door hanger, maybe more, maybe it's just seeing somebody walk the trash out. If those habits are created, which I think habits need to be simple, small, attainable, those are habits all of you guys could create. Now you're getting into the rare air of possibly creating a lead per job or lead
Yeah.
every other job. And when, I don't know if we'll get into the economics on this call, but that's where, it can be really dangerous.
Well, why don't you dive in? Because I would love to kind of get into like what needs to happen for roofers to feel in control of their pipeline. But I think a really good start of that is talking about what a 6-pack is. It's not
Mm,
something that you're buying from 7-Eleven and bringing home after the end of the day. It's something way more powerful, right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it can be maybe you create a relationship in the 6-pack and you can have a 6-pack with them on their front porch because of
Yeah.
the connection you made. But it's really just the idea that, I mean, 3 to the side, 3 to the or 2. I guess I'm going to get my math wrong here. Um, 6 is a
Six in an area. Yeah.
small. 6 is a small area. Typically, what we say is like 3, 3, 3, right?
Mhm.
Or 4, whatever you want to say. But getting in touch with, connecting with the people on the left and the right, and the people across the street. That's what we're talking about in a six
The
pack.
direct people across from where you're
Correct.
working.
Correct. So, yeah, our mail campaigns, they're minimum 20 homes per campaign. Yes, you could do 100 if you wanted. We don't sell it that way for the obvious reason of, if I'm here telling you guys that the secret sauce is your beautiful face showing up saying hello. Well, if you sent a 100 neighbor mail campaign, it's hard to get to 100 homes. But
Mhm.
if you got 20 and then you set the bar to say, let's do half, let's say hi to half, that's a repeatable process. So that's what we mean by a 6-pack.
And that's a good thing, and Daniel brought up a good point. It's not just like having the roofers go out there, having the owners, having the salespeople, having the project manager go out there before the job starts. Maybe it's even your supervisor. Like you have a crew supervisor that's really good with people, just goes, knocks those doors like, hey guys, just to let you know, we're across the street. I just want to say it's going to be noisy for about a day. I
Yeah,
apologize. We're going to be here to help out, but by the way, we did send out some mailers or some material rather, and able to kind of dig into it that way. So, by the
absolutely.
way, just a complete side note, I've noticed the amount of people from everywhere. I got one guy from Ghana, another guy from Qatar, Canada,
Crazy.
US. Wild. I've never seen this. This is like our 15th one. I haven't seen this kind of reach. So really cool.
Yeah.
Hi everyone.
Yeah.
But it goes
Thanks for
back to the
joining.
question: what needs to happen for roofers for them to feel control of their pipeline?
Yeah. I mean, I might sound like we're beating a dead horse here, but in terms of controlling your pipeline, we talked about this idea of creating repeatable processes. So
Hmm.
we've come. I was just talking to somebody today, and they actually asked, like, so how have you guys been doing? Growing a lead gen program in the gold rush, right? Where a lot of guys are like, I got enough leads, I'm good. Now, obviously, everybody's in different like life cycles of the business. They might be opening up a new location, they might just be new, whatever, right? So there's certainly always a need for leads, but there's also been this overall overarching theme that like the phone's ringing. But the reality is that's not going to happen forever. And we might be entering, I mean, many would say we're already entering into a little bit of a dip or a little bit of recession. And so the way that we control a lead pipeline is just to create processes that are repeatable, that aren't just like, fly by the seat of our pants, like hoping things are working, but actually something that we can do once, measure, do again, measure, do again. And I've talked to, like I said, a lot of contractors, a lot of you out there, whether you door knock or you don't, or you send mail or you don't. And a lot of the sentiment that I hear is we tried that for a short time and just didn't get it going again, right? When I ask folks about mail, a lot of times like, yeah, we tried that, but just didn't continue it, whether it be actual job site mailers, like what Dope does and like what we do. They might say, well, we took that in-house. And I say, well, how did that go? Well, Tom's supposed to be doing that, but I don't know if he's doing it anymore.
That's a beautiful thing about the partnerships part, is partnering with a company like Lead Scout or like Roofr, where they could do the things that you don't need to delegate anymore, that you can kind of streamline and really kind of create that standard operating procedure, not just for now, but more importantly for the future. I love what you're saying there.
Yep. And then the other part, just to kind of finish, the answer to the question is having a way to measure what it is you're doing. And you guys had Ruben, and I'm blanking on his last name. He's from Active Prospect, I believe. Pete had him on the Roofr Report. A lot of great stuff. So I encourage you guys to check that webcast out. What Ruben does, at least what I gathered, and I don't know him. I didn't know anything about his company until I watched that. Really, his business is to sit, I guess you could say, in front of or behind your CRM and help you quantify what your lead sources are doing. How are they performing? And one thing that we do at Lead Scout, when you use our leads, obviously I can only control what you're doing with me, is we do what we call a match back. And so in terms of back to controlling this lead pipeline, if you're mailing 100 homes or 1,000 homes or 10,000 homes, even if those are all just little campaigns over time, they all have one thing in common: an address. And when you get a lead, what do you get with that lead every time? An address. Yes. So what can you do to create black and white attribution to match those up? And as long as that address that you mailed became a lead, or hopefully now later in the cycle, a customer, happened after a mail campaign, we call that direct or indirect attribution. Now, they might be sitting in your Job Progress, Job Nimbus, AccuLinks, whatever CRM you're using. They might be sitting in there as an Angie's lead list, or they might be sitting there as a yard sign or neighbor referral. But if we can show we mailed them on October 20 and they called in on October 31, they said yard sign, right? We're not here to interrogate our customers. We're not here to be like, well, we really want to know exactly what it was. We live in an omni-channel marketing world where we can't just spend $50,000 in yellow pages for the old guys on that are on this and maybe did that, where they can do that and then generate 2.5 million in sales. Those days are over. So we have all these different channels, and we have to be able to understand what's our cost of acquisition for those, so that we know, should we be spending more money over there? Should we be spending less? And the cool thing about what we do, we kind of have it made because of the address system. We can just match that up. And we do that for our customers. So whether you're using a Lead Scout or anybody, or doing it on your own, make sure that you're assigning somebody to do that attribution, because that's going to help you control, okay, how is this performing? right?
Exactly. And there's so many ways that people are going to be coming to you nowadays. Like you're saying, it's an what was the word that you said? Because I just
Omni-channel.
omni-channel world where everything is. We got the websites, we have mailers, we have yard signs, we have whatever the case may be, and capturing where they're coming from and making the most out of every single interaction is really important. And that kind of brings me to the next question: QR codes, having them on your mailers, on your signs, on your truck. They're a weird looking thing, but they definitely
Mhm.
grab attention, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And I would say, I mean, no question, they are widely used and are becoming more understood.
Hmm.
But even though that's the case, we still see very low click rates. And I'm glad you asked. It's one of the cool things that we do, is we embed some code in all of the QR codes that we put on the mailer. So every QR code that's mailed to a specific address is different from the other one or any others. So if we get a scan, which it's rare, right, we can know who scanned it. And that's really important because, again, if it's not a lot, let's say, just a half a dozen, let's say, only we all know the bounce rate, what happens when people come through your Facebook ad or just going to your website. So of those six, if only two fill out the form, what happens the other four? Well, if we know which neighborhoods those are coming from, not to be creepy, but where it's coming from, right? So maybe you put an extra door hanger on that door, right? There was obviously some intention, some interest. And so in terms of how we handle QR codes, we try to just layer that into the scouting experience and the visibility experience of knowing, okay, we're marketing these specific homes around a job site. What kind of interaction are we getting? But beyond that, I think it's really important to include QR codes whenever you can. Yard
Yeah,
signs, right? Business cards.
because they're going to be able to see your sign, they're going to be able to see your mailer, they're going to see your truck, and that gives them an idea again on the branding front. But you're not if you're not in front of your truck or in front of your yard sign, you can't talk about how, and Jessica said it perfectly, how you can help them. And
Mm,
they don't care who you are, they care
yep,
how you can help them. So having
absolutely.
something like that to drive them to your website, to drive them to a Roofer instant estimator link, so that you could help them immediately and show them ways that you've helped others, you've helped people in their area. That's where you're going to get the most value for it. Like having a website's cool, everyone needs one, but at the end of the day, if you don't know and not
Mhm.
don't know who's on there, and you don't know how they're how to capitalize on those people, that's going to make it just kind of a pretty flashy thing that everybody has.
Yep.
Again, we're talking about differentiating yourselves from the
Mhm.
crowd. So why not, when they scan on something like that, get a quote within 26 seconds, and you can bring them to somewhere where it's on your website, you can capture their information and follow up with them to show them how you can help them.
Yep. Well, and the other thing is, Nick, you didn't really say it, but you should have. Is it's a call to action. I mean,
Yes.
we've all had the same call to action for years, right? Like 10%
Mhm.
off or $500 off. Nothing wrong with that, but thinking creatively oftentimes equals different results, better results. And so, the ability to be able to tell somebody they can get an instant quote in 26 seconds, is that the time it takes? Uh,
Yeah, or
yeah,
less.
yeah, or less, right? I mean, if you, especially using that number, that'd be kind of fun. Like, get an instant quote in less than 26 seconds. It's kind of a random number,
The
but
random number is the best.
yeah. So
Catches that
those
eye.
types of things might catch an eye. So not only is there we're working at this address, right? Oh,
Mhm.
that's like 3 doors down from my house. Um, but there's also this little QR code that says scan to get an instant roof quote in 26 seconds.
Yeah.
Those are the types of things. So if we talk about, well, how effective is the mail, right? Well, how effective are our call to actions? Like, what's enticing us? Most of us here are homeowners or think like a homeowner.
Mhm.
So what do we want to see? What would get us to act?
It makes such a big difference. So, I know that we're getting tight on time. We got about 20 minutes left. Just wanted to see if you wanted to show a little bit more about Lead Scout, what there is to offer, to give a quick little introduction. I see a lot of really interested people here, which is super exciting, and
Yeah,
want to see how we can help out with that. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'll allow you to share yours, and then we'll see what we can do from there.
cool.
There we are. Guys, everybody in the comments, thanks so much for reaching out. You had a great discussion going on there between everyone, and keep those questions coming in, because we'll save some time at the end for some questions there as well.
All right, can you see the screen okay?
Yes, we can.
All right, I think I'm sharing my entire screen, and that's intentional because I want to show off my kids. No, I actually do. This is what I get to do every day. I do demos with you guys. Hopefully everybody that's on that isn't already a customer, at least schedule a demo with us. If you put in that you heard about us through the Masterclass, I'll do the demo. That's my commitment. We have a team of really great people that do demos, but I'll do the demo with you. So at least do that. I'll show you a little sneak peek right now, but I get to show off my kids every time I do that. So, so I'm going to open up the Lead Scout app. So we'll have that off to the side for a second. But when you first log in, this is my demo account. You can kind of see this is a snapshot of all of my, we'll call my job sites around the country. Not actually job sites, it's a demo account. But if this was yours, you would simply click on this little blue button here. You would enter a job site address, and we would tell you the nearest 20 owner-occupied homes, not renters, not businesses, right? Owner-occupied, the nearest 20 as the crow flies. So once we've done that, for the sake of time, I won't go through that process, although it's super simple. And Nick, did I actually do this with you? I could actually do it live if you want to get here. Okay, let's do it. All right, give me a home address. It doesn't really matter. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to remember it. So if you want to give your address, I can actually kind of do this live.
Here, I just picked one. I put it in the chat there, 717 Alderwood Drive in Sarasota. I just went on Google Maps and dropped a pin.
Alderwood?
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah, we'll go with that one, actually.
We'll go with that one.
Random address, so that works.
Cool. Oh, golf course. Perfect. Well, this is great. So for those, watching here, you might go, I don't really see a lot of homes. We take into account rural and city. Obviously, if we're in a tract home, it's really easy to find the nearest 20. We obviously account for rural. We have a little bit of a parameter there. So we'll go ahead and just start the campaign. It's that simple. We'll just create campaign. We can set a start date because it is a 4-week drip. So you might want to start that campaign later if the timing of the install is later in the future. But for the most part, you could just start it right away. And the next 4 weeks, those mailers will be delivered. So I'll go ahead and just refresh the page here. I'll even refresh on the mobile. Pull it down. It should pop up at the top. There it is. Oh, all right. We'll hop over here. So take a look at the mobile app over here. Okay, I'll just punch this in here. AG2. I actually logged out because I saw someone said they tried to sign on and they were getting an error message. So I was doing that for you, whoever said that. I logged out and I tried to create an account. That's why it wasn't already teed up. So hit me up afterwards. I can make sure that you're not getting that error message. So we'll go ahead and, all right, sign up. It went into the wrong account. So let's start over here. There we go. All right. So while that's loading, all right, there it is, Alderbrook. You simply open up the app and you can see those are the 20 homes, okay? And you can click on those homes and see Patsy there. You can swipe to the left and see Maria. These are all the homeowners, Brent Long, that are receiving the mail. And if you click on that little icon that's blinking, it shows you that 1 of 4 mailers is in production, okay? So that's where you can kind of track to see where they at in the mail cycle, right? And so you can simply swipe through there. You can qualify, disqualify. And so that once you X out, I can see 0 out of 20 of those homes have been prospected, right? So from a high level perspective, we can know, okay, there's 20 homes, 10 homes that we can go work, right? And so that's the mobile side. Of course, you've got your different stages of the campaigns. And then if I click it here, we can see the 20 homes that we're marketing to. We can see in a list form. This is why it's kind of fun when we do this. We typically do it at your home, and then you can kind of see your neighbors. we'll send you the list. So if you forgot who lives at that one house, that when you're doing the Halloween candy thing, you can remember their name, because you keep forgetting their name. But we provide the list as well. So that's it. There's not a ton more I'd want to do for the sake of this presentation, but that's where you kind of access it from the web, and then of course the mobile. And like I said, it's on iOS only right now, but it will be on Android soon.
That's awesome. You can see how valuable that could be to just a day-to-day roofer to really, again, save time, to kind of streamline their process and get things out a lot quicker. And what that does too, just to kind of for your opening conversation, we want to build that trust, we want to build that stuff, and using their first name is something that's going to be like, oh, this person might know me. I'm going to read this note. I'm going to read this letter, and just kind of open up that conversation to show them like, hey, this is what I'm here for, this is who I am in
Mhm.
this neighborhood, and this is what I do. So really love seeing that stuff. um,
Absolutely. There's a couple good questions there.
yeah.
How reliable is a homeowner data? We ping a public database, and that public database is accessible to anybody. And we believe that we've got the most authentic or reliable information that we could find. So we're not trying to say, we're sourcing some proprietary homeowner data. That
Hmm.
would not be a good idea, because there's companies that have been doing this for years and years and years that recycle the information, check up on that information. So we are truly pinging databases. And quite frankly, I can't actually speak on other tools' behalf, but I'm pretty sure that's what everybody does. So we're just pinging repositories of homeowner data, and that accuracy is in the high 90 percentile. So if you get it in a name, it's 9 out of 10 times that's who still lives there.
That's awesome. I'd be remiss to not bring up how we can work together, our two companies. We love kind of working in cross-functionally and stuff like that. We love doing stuff like this, but I'd love to kind of show like if you could kind of put out a situation, Chris, in which a customer either gets a mailer out there with a QR code and maybe visited your site, or a door knocking situation. I'd be happy to share my screen and show you what the next steps can be for that customer.
Yeah, let's do it.
So let me open up what we have here. So that's
Make sure
perfect.
you're logged in before you share your screen.
I think I got that in here. So again, with the roofer, we have like we're the all-in-one sales tool, from leads to customers to jobs to measurements to proposals. And one of the cool things that I love thinking about is a situation that you've done the mailer and you have the QR code, and it brings them directly to a branded site of yours where the customer can just type in their address and get a quote within that 26 seconds. But my favorite version is going back, and this has completely changed the way I demonstrate the tool, Chris, is that podcast that you guys did with Pete, talking about that like introduction piece on how, hey, I'm doing your neighbor's house, this is I'm here to make sure that everything's clean, but in the meantime, would you like a quote on your roof? I saw when I was up there that it's a little bit deteriorated in some areas. I can, in 26 seconds, you have 26 seconds, I would love to show you how it works. So you can be standing in front of them, and this is changing door knocking, or let's go call it scouting now, because it's what it is, where they could type in their address right on the spot. And I just picked again that one that I posted in the chat. They
Mm-hmm.
can get an accurate, rough estimate of their square footage within seconds. Go through the steps of, it's a low slope roof. I have asphalt on it. It's residential. I want to go back with asphalt, and I need it done in the next 1 to 3 months. I'm interested in financing. The biggest objection that we always get as salespeople is pricing. So
Mm-hmm.
financing is such a key attribute to have for your company. And they could put in information here like, please help, uh, or I got your mail. So anything that they need right there. And when they put in their information, you are now gathering their information into your actual sales system. So when they click on get an estimate, every option that you offer, so if you offering all four of these or one of these or just two
Mm-hmm.
of them, these can show up with a personal description on everything that you're doing, a nice little call to action, request a proposal, get a $25 gift card, and they can click on one of these with your real-time pricing for their square footage. So it's nice and easy there, but the best part is how it actually comes into your system. It will show up now, and talking about cross-referencing those data. So if you sent out a mailer and you've referenced that now, we have something that matches up, which makes it
Yep.
really, really easy. And you could see that it's a job. that you have a person that's requesting an asphalt roof. You could dig into it more, find that data on there, and find that, making that warm lead. So imagine using Lead Scout and Roofr together, having the information that you have in Lead Scout plus the information what they went through from that QR code to your instant estimator. You have a perfect introduction to really display trust and helping rather than a desperate sales initiative.
Yep.
You, you could
Yep.
assign it to a rep and then even qualify this job. Now, when you qualify it, turns it into a job where you can order a report, do a DIY, create a proposal. It creates a job automatically in Company Cam. So a
Love it.
project in Company Cam where you can start taking your photos. And that's all what we can do. We could work together this way to really capitalize on every single interaction that you have with one of the customer.
Yeah, I mean, Jessica just said it. Like the connection we could have with the QR code. I mean, essentially, for all of you interested in using a tool like that, and I think everyone should. How do we deliver it? What's the medium? Right?
Mm-hmm.
We can have a tool like this, but if we're not getting it into the home and getting their eyes on it and giving them a reason to connect with it, right? Like that's really important. So in terms of the how we kind of find that harmony, I would say if you're looking for something to connect a QR code to, connect it to an instant estimate. If you're looking for a reason to knock that door, maybe just walk up and say, hey, we sent you a postcard with this cool instant estimator. If you've been thinking about getting a roof or ever curious about how much a roof is, I mean, that's a big question a lot of people have, right? That's why I think this is a great lead generation tool, because sometimes it's just like, I don't really even know how much it costs, like ballpark, like what are we looking at here? So it can simply just be a starting point to create a conversation. Hey, did he get that? If you didn't, I can actually do it for you right now. It takes 26 seconds. So I think it's a no-brainer. I don't know why we haven't already done it for half of the contractors on this, because you're doing jobs. There's neighbors that need your business. No, not every single neighbor needs a new roof, but there's got to be 5 to 10 out of those 20 that do. Why not send them an instant quote, give them a reason to engage with you, and then give your salespeople in the field a reason to get out of their truck and start a conversation.
It's crazy too, because imagine if someone, you have sent out a mailer and then you saw a lead come in from that person. It's that introduction was like, hey, I'm actually doing your neighbor's house, but I did see that you actually played around with the QR code. I want to see if there's any other questions. And one of the really cool things about that as well is, now when you're looking at that, when you're talking to any of these like large marketing companies, one of the most common things that is asked online or that is searched for is, what does a roof replacement cost? We
Mm-hmm.
know that our roofers out there, our customers out there, the majority of them have never done a roof, and this will hopefully be the last roof that they'll ever
Mm-hmm.
do. So you're able to actually get this all moving in a very short period of time and answer the question that they're looking for. Typically, if you go out there and you're looking for like you're typing in how much does a roof cost, all that's popping up is roofers' websites. They're going to click on a couple of those websites. Hopefully, you have something like an instant estimator on there and something to track it, but this is where it can really kind of start to streamline, and you can make the most out of every single interaction that you have out there and be
Mm-hmm.
able to, within seconds, while we were chatting, I was able to draw out a roof from that
Yes.
lead and build a detailed proposal and be able to send it out and separate yourself from the crowd. So in summary, real quick, imagine a world where you can be sending out this material to the customers, actively scouting properly and not just door knocking for the hell of it, and getting that information, tracking every interaction, and being able to turn it into a lead, an opportunity for you to quote and send out with all the branding and everything. You are setting yourself apart from everybody else in your area, and you're going to not only create that brand recognition, but you're going to be able to close more jobs with that.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Amen to that. It actually, if I can, Brandy asked a minute ago about non-compete and what happens when you have two different contractors in a neighborhood. And I've gotten that question a lot, Brandy, and it's a good one. But I think the answer is what Nick just kind of presented. So if we didn't have the element of tools at your disposal on an iPad or on your phone or whatever, and you didn't have a mobile application to complement the mail,
Mm-hmm.
then you're kind of just at the mercy of like, which one do I choose?
Yeah.
We can't control who sends mail, just like we can't control who puts a billboard up. Right now, actually, I don't do a lot of billboards, so maybe someone could like tell me I'm wrong there. I don't know, but I would imagine that, you see two different billboards, two different Chevy dealerships, right? Like they don't get to like not have that.
Yeah.
So this is why you got to get out of your truck and make that connection, because if they're going to choose, they're going to probably go with the one that went the extra mile. And so I think that's kind of just encapsulates what we're trying to do here, is create sales enablement along with that marketing so that you are set apart. So, but the other good news that I'll share with you is hold firm to the fact that a lot of times people don't know they need something like that, like a roof. So when your competition is mailing that homeowner, that neighbor, it's not a bad thing. If anything, we want more people telling homeowners they should get a new roof, right? Like we want people aware that what's over my head, what's protecting my most valuable asset other than my family is the roof. And so the more aware we are that the marketplace is aware, that's a good thing. And then you can just rest assured, Brandy, that you're the company that's going to out hustle the others. So, and you've got Lead Scout. So you're going to actually assign the salespeople that list, and you're going to create a process that says, guys, this is really simple. When we do a job, we send the mail and we just expect you to qualify 5 or 10 of the homes. We just put a door hanger up, just say hello. That's our process. It's not hard. And I can guarantee you, because I'm talking hundreds of contractors, you're going to be of the minority that actually do that.
It's such a big difference. And Brandy, one of the things that Chris brought up there is, yes, if they are going to get that quote, they're not going to get it from one person. They're going to get it from multiple. So the goal is to separate yourself from your competition and be out there and showing them why we are the right company to go with. This is what my presentation looks like. This is my branding. This is what I've been doing in this neighborhood. And those knocks around the neighborhood expressing to everybody that we're here to help out is going to set you apart. It's going to, and word travels fast. We know word of mouth is one of the best lead sources. And doing stuff like that out of the ordinary and going that extra mile is going to travel from there.
Yep. Speaking of, I got to add one more thing, Nick, because I want to give as many little like takeaways as we can to everybody. Whether you're using Lead Scout, and I hope you do, or sending your own stuff to the neighbors, use that as a tool to create conversation with the customer. How many of your salespeople are asking your customer for a referral in the neighborhood? Hopefully you're doing it every single job. But if you're sending some letters out, some lead letters, whatever you want to call them, right? If you're sending some letters out to neighbors, tell the homeowner that you're doing that, right? Let them know, hey, I do this. It's just part of a way for us to engage the neighborhood. Do you know anybody that you could make an introduction to? So use it as a mechanism to create those connections. And the reality is your customer chose you for a reason. They want to help you.
Yeah. And that's really important, is being able to kind of sit out there and do that thing for those clients out there. By the way, I just want to say thank you to the guy saying that my drawing was really good. I appreciate that. But we got about 3 minutes left. Any last questions in here, Chris, that you see? Oh, by the way, Victor, yes, the instant estimator is live, and you can get it on with Roofr. It's a full package, and Estelle will put a meeting link below, so feel free to book a meeting, and we'd be happy to chat with you on that.
Yeah, Ben just asked a great question. Can I control the number of mail pieces and the amount of time? Right now, no. I'll answer both those questions. The first, the reason we don't let you control the number of pieces is because our data shows 3.89 mailers. So I would say, why send 2 when you should send 4, right? The data tells us that 4 touches is what you need. Really, you need like 7 to 10, right? And so we're just gaining extra touches automatically. It's like literally set it, forget it. So get those extra touches. In terms of spreading it out, I think that's actually something we just talked about today. My team talked about it. Should we spread them out? Is 1 a week for 4 weeks too quick? The logic behind that was because we want to really be present while you're there, especially if you're doing roofing. You're in and out of there so fast. So let's get those touches in leading up to, during, and after. but there's certainly going to be that flexibility down the road in terms of like your usability of it to say, hey, like I want it to go every 12 days or 15 days. I definitely see the benefit of that. In terms of the number of mailers, I'd say 4 or more. Otherwise, you're kind of leaving your soldiers with a small battalion, right? Let's give them some backup. You know what I mean?
Awesome. Well, guys, there's a lot of great information. Again, feel free to reach out to either Chris or myself. We do have the Roofr meeting link there as well, but make sure you go out to Lead Scout, check out what they have, book a meeting. Chris made that awesome offer where if you guys come from here, he's doing the demo himself. So you get the star boy himself on that, which
And
is
maybe a
awesome.
discount. Well, I'm sure we can work something out.
Yeah, I could throw out that if
The
anybody,
Roofr discount for sure.
yeah, and likewise, if anybody's coming from Lead Scout, I'm happy to provide that there. So just reference this chat,
Love it.
this conversation, and I'd be happy to throw something in there. I know that Jordan asked if there's a deal for working with both of us, and we love working with each other, so we'd love working with you too. So really excited, guys. Thanks again for everything, and this will be recorded later, but looking forward to seeing you at the next masterclass. Chris, thank you so much.
Thank you, Nick. Appreciate it.
All right, guys. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.